Story 1. Work a corporate job, laugh out loud. Between the stress, being stationary, and getting home late, you will likely eat more takeout than cook. That is how I gained approximately 15 pounds after earning my bachelor's degree. Story 2. I ate more. I always thought I ate as much as other people, but I did not. I also used to prefer the feeling of being hungry to that of being overly full. Story 3. Listen, I did everything to try to gain weight. If you are eating well and the pounds will not go on, they will not. I ate and ate. I worked out. I saw a doctor who was supposed to help me gain weight. Nothing worked. But I love to eat. That helped me in the long run. I was 98 pounds at 22. I got pregnant and kept a little weight on. I was 120 pounds. Perfect weight. Then I got older and kept eating as I was used to. I am now 150 pounds. Overweight and wishing I was thin again. Story 4. They put me on sertraline as a teenager, which made it so the only two things I could feel were dopamine from eating sugar and the little zing of nausea you get from watching gore and shock videos. I became addicted to both. Story 5. Once I tried eating tins of cheese and large amounts of butter for days plus fruit juice. I started to gain weight. I had never felt fat on my body before. I had always imagined it would feel good, but I was wrong. I was heavier and had moving parts, like large breasts. It was horrible and I stopped doing that. Now I can appreciate being skinny. Story 6. Worked out hard with the heaviest weights I could. Ate a lot, mostly high-protein foods. It was painful for about 18 months. Then I got tired of eating so much. 5 meals a day plus 2 1-liter protein shakes. So I eased off and chose other fitness activities to maintain good health. I gained muscle, not just size like a bodybuilder but dense, strong muscle like a power lifter. You also increase bone density. Story 7. I had a few long periods in an ankle cast at different times in my past, and depression did not help matters either. Story 8. I was on medication for about 1.5 months, which coincidentally helped me gain weight, and I was able to maintain it. Story 9. Eat healthy and go to the gym. Drink plenty of water, eat your vegetables and fruits, and have a protein-rich meal once a day, such as grilled chicken or fish. I weighed 48 kilograms when I was 19. It took me 1 year of dedicated gym workouts and fixing my diet to reach my ideal weight of 65 kilograms. Story 10. Bodybuilding. I began to appreciate the importance of different macronutrients, so eating more protein became a reward in my brain. Then you learn to cook and grill and realize how you can make amazing foods that make multiple parts of you happy. Then through lifting weights, you get another dopamine and endorphin boost. It just snowballs. Story 11. Weight training kickstarted my appetite and I grew stronger, so my muscles needed more fuel. I started with the Serious Mass Max Gainer Shake, about 2,000 calories per shake, plus 3 hearty meals a day, consuming all the calories I could find. The beginning was brutal, and I was literally forcing food down my throat. Eventually, I gained weight and it became easier to eat enough. Now I am 20 kilograms heavier and the healthiest I have ever been. Story 12. I love those just eat more comments. It didn't work for some of us. I may have been considered scrawny for most of my life, but I was nothing but skin, bone, and muscle all those years. If you have a certain body type, there is nothing you can do to gain weight. It's just better to stay fit and healthy. I finished 8th grade at 90 pounds. I finished high school 6 feet tall and 135 pounds. I had terrible allergies and asthma until my 40s, had a high metabolism, and an intolerance for certain kinds of fats. They went right through me. I got on a swim team at age 8 and had a daily workout schedule with weights upon waking up. I was nicknamed Mal for malnutrition my freshman year on the swim team, but I hated the long, grueling swim workouts and quit my senior year of high school. The funny thing was, in college I still did laps, but at my own pace. I established a lifelong need to stay fit by hitting the gym. Bicycling was great. Traffic was not. Around my mid-40s, I got up to the 150-pound range. At 72, I am now 190 pounds. But wait, I did a half hour on the treadmill today and another half hour on all the weight machines. I also walked the dog for an hour. A lot of my high school classmates who mocked me for being mal aren't here anymore. There have been many deaths due to heart problems over the last 20 years. Story 13. I am trying to gain weight so that workouts can build muscle. However, I keep losing weight. Does anyone have any tips? I am 32 years old and have a very fast metabolism. I am starting to see some visible muscles, but I feel like after all the work I have done, there should be more progress. Story 14. I am still a little skinny at 43.5 kilograms, but I was once around 40 kilograms. I had to basically force myself to eat. I tried weight gain powders and calorie-dense foods. I will not resort to fast food or unhealthy food for weight gain. Story 15. My metabolism slowed down when puberty began. I ate as much as before and was surprised that, for the first time, I gained weight so quickly. I was made fun of because I looked very thin, so that was shocking. Story 16. I eat high-calorie foods 3 to 4 times a day. That is not enough. It took years of doing that to gain weight. Years. Story 17. I am back to a healthy weight now. In the past, I gained weight by eating unhealthy food every day. Story 18. Forced eating is incredibly difficult because your stomach is literally smaller in size. I also use sustagen, which is a powder you mix with milk or water. It is a hard road at first but gets easier. Then it becomes hard to stop eating. Story 19. It was when I turned 40. I ate more, drank more alcohol, and moved less. It is possible to lose the weight again. Story 20. It took me 30 years of eating everything in sight to the point where many people said that I must have parasites. I took medication for it twice with no effect. What finally helped me gain weight was getting older and not exercising. Story 21. I was encouraged to start eating normal meals after escaping an abusive home where I was forcibly starved for years and given many steroid-based medications for my severe lung issues. Story 22. Antidepressants helped me quit my opiate addiction and stop smoking. I used to weigh 45 to 50 kilograms. I am only 152 centimeters tall, and now I am up to 85 kilograms. I have tried everything to lose weight except medication and surgery. My doctor does not believe I have a problem. I eat small meals and do not snack, but every doctor says, "You must be eating too much." My husband finishes my meals for me because I get full quickly, and he weighs less than I do and is taller. I have tried diet meals, intermittent fasting, very low-calorie diets, and daily exercise, sometimes all together at the same time with exercise during all of them. Nothing makes a difference. I miss being slim. Now I am 41, and I will probably stay overweight, unfortunately. Story 23. I used to be really skinny, 105 pounds to be exact. I struggled with eating. I couldn't eat much, and no matter what I tried to gain weight. Smoothies, forcing myself to eat more, protein drinks, nothing worked. I went to my doctor and told her I struggled to gain weight and had appetite issues. She prescribed me cyproheptadine. I gained 20 pounds in 2 months. For once, I was able to have a normal appetite and felt more confident in my body. Now I am 135 pounds and still happy with my weight. I hope this helps. Story 24. I put on 25 kilograms during the coronavirus disease 2019 pandemic. It was a combination of working from home, Belgian beer, and French wine. I eventually lost it all again. Story 25. Ultra-processed foods. I went from 48 kilograms at 18 to 73 kilograms at 20 by training 5 times a week and eating the most palatable and calorie-dense foods I could. Breakfast was as many Weetabix as I could eat. At the start, it was 2. At the end, it was 8 to 10 with oat milk and sugar for flavor. Post-training, I ate 4 slices of peanut butter toast and 3 fried eggs. Lunch was sausage pasta or tuna pasta. Dinner was chicken nuggets with rice and vegetables. Protein shakes were consumed 1 to 3 times a day depending on training, time, and protein intake. Throughout the day, I ate lots of biscuits as they are easy to consume, very cheap, and provide over 400 kilocalories per 100 grams. Also, drinking alcohol 3 times a week added an easy extra 500 to 1,000 kilocalories. Now, I am a personal trainer, eating similarly but more for maintenance. I am still 73 kilograms 6 years later and help people gain or lose weight using healthier methods than I used for myself. But if they really wanted to gain weight quickly, I would recommend my method. Story 26. Pregnancy. I doubled in size. I went from a size 6 to a size 12, and I have only gotten larger because I no longer care and I eat a lot. Story 27. I was 5 feet 9 inches and 130 pounds when I entered university. It is just pure mathematics and a numbers game. Consume more calories than you use and exercise to build and retain weight. Eat big to get big. Do your best to eat more overall and consume more from a smaller physical quantity. You cannot safely lose a lot of weight quickly, and this rule also applies to gaining weight. I am currently settling at a sturdy 187 pounds, down from 200 pounds when I was playing university sports. Story 28. I ate my stress and depression. Dad has cancer. Dad is dead. Mom lost her mind. Brother will not talk to family. Moved and all alone. Lost dream job. Girlfriend cheats. Hurt my back. Constant stress. Lonely. Story 29. Major mental breakdown. Spent months barely leaving my bed, followed by 2 long years of depression and alcohol. I am slowly doing better now and working on losing weight. Story 30. I stopped using drugs. Not going to lie, I miss being skinny, but I would have totally died if I had continued that lifestyle. Story 31. Quit smoking cigarettes, continued smoking marijuana, and overeated for a year and a half straight. Even with all that, I have only gone up from 78 kilograms to 92 kilograms, which is considered a healthy weight for my height. I can definitely feel the difference when I jump though. Story 32. I'm almost 17 years old, but I was borderline underweight until I was 12 or 13. I never intentionally made a change, but as I got older, I ate more food and sometimes ate more than I needed at every meal. I have a high metabolism because I am normally quite active. Right now, I weigh 130 pounds and am 5 feet 8.5 inches tall, with a bit of belly fat. I am far from being considered fat and am actually decently athletic. Story 33. I hit my 20s and my metabolism slowed down significantly. Also, I started taking antipsychotics. Zyprexa caused me to gain 15 kilograms in 1 month. Story 34. I started working out at home and making sure all meals were complete with good portions, including proteins, complex carbohydrates, and fats. After a meal, I would drink a meal supplement drink like this one. Story 35. I started working an office job, which worsened when I began working from home. I used to do physical work. I did not change my eating habits, so I gained weight. Story 36. Trained diligently with hard work, ate a lot of food, including protein and carbohydrates, and was naturally gifted with bodybuilding genetics. Story 37. When I was about 17 or 18, I started eating as I imagined the Hulk would and went to the gym as I imagined the Hulk would if he went to the gym. Story 38. 2 dinners. Before, it was breakfast, lunch, dinner, plus constant snacking. Now, I am still somewhat skinny, but I went from about 60 kilograms to 68 kilograms by adding a second dinner to the previous plan. Also, calorific drinks, lots of flavored milks, protein shakes, and so on. I still require about 3,000 calories to gain weight though. Story 39. I gained weight twice. From skinny to fit, then from fit to fat. To gain weight in my 20s, I hit the gym hard and ate well. I am 5 feet 11 inches tall. At 21, I weighed 62 kilograms. At 28, I weighed 75 kilograms and was fit. At 35, I weighed 85 kilograms, fit from the gym and running. Then I got injured and stopped working out. I kept eating and made excuses. I thought I would get my food under control but faced issues. I overindulged and overate. Now I am 52 and weigh 104 kilograms. I need to sort myself out. Story 40. I began doing heavy compound movements such as bench press, squat, and overhead press. I increased my food intake by almost double. Story 41. Got addicted to marijuana, and over 4 years I gained 40 pounds. I would use it every day and eat whenever I got hungry. Story 42. For me, I just needed to eat more. However, I know very thin people who eat a lot and still do not gain weight. Story 92. Oot, oot, oot. Then nup, nup, nup. The thing that really kickstarted the whole process was having a birth control injection for about 3 months. I gained weight quickly and also experienced strong emotional changes. Story 44. I started ordering from a steakhouse every night. Their meat was always juicy and tender, and even their salads with cut chicken were the best. The portions were huge. It originally started as a 2-day meal and then became a one-night meal. Am I still hungry? I should order a more appetizing side. Story 45. Definitely eating more and being consistent with it. Also, every thin person, including myself at the time, falls into the trap of blaming their fast metabolism for being thin. If they understood how it worked, they would find gaining weight easier with a fast metabolism if they actually ate enough. Eating multiple smaller meals a day is much easier for making gains compared to just having 3 larger meals. Also, eating at set intervals helps to stay on track and build a habit. Story 46. Pregnancy weight that stubbornly will not go away. Technically, I have lost 25 pounds since giving birth, but I am still 10 pounds above my pre-pregnancy weight. Story 47. Around 8 years ago, I realized I had to stop being skinny because it affected my health and overall appearance. I was around 55 kilograms at 178 centimeters. It was very common for me to forget or skip meals while studying. Once, I joked with a couple of friends that I wanted to hit the gym but was too introverted to go. One friend took that seriously, literally took me by the hand one day, and told the gym owner, who is a mutual friend, "Take care of my friend." Since then, I have been going to the gym, though not very regularly recently. The thing is, I forced myself to go to the gym because working out made me hungry, which meant I had to eat. I gained around 28 kilograms during my prime. Now I am around 73 kilograms. The secret is just to eat more. And by more, I mean more than what you usually eat, not more than what others eat. You also need to eat enough protein. I never cared about counting calories or my fat percentage. I just wanted to look good in my clothes, so I basically only counted my protein intake. That was it. Story 48. I was introduced to junk food when I had my first income source and transportation vehicle. A paper route and a bicycle. I could bike down to the corner store and buy snack cupcakes, candy bars, chips, soda, and other items. My parents were not involved because they were at work. Then, because childhood is fleeting, my activity level decreased, but my calorie intake did not. As I grew older, female hormonal changes occurred, and before I realized how hard it is to lose weight, the weight was already there. Story 49. Started testosterone therapy and reached a healthy weight for myself. I am not naturally thin, and I was previously underweight due to stress and malnutrition. I developed a thyroid disorder which caused my weight to become unhealthy. Unfortunately, being mobility impaired and having severe stomach issues have made it difficult to lose weight. I plan to work on it in the pool this summer. Story 50. Just ate regularly every 3 hours. Consumed whole foods and supplemented with a whole food protein designed for gaining mass. Gained 10 kilograms of weight in 10 months. Went to the gym most days and stayed relatively lean. Story 51. I became depressed. Family abuse caused me to snack when I should not have. I did not realize it until I had gained 20 pounds. Story 52. I was seriously injured and could not walk for months. After surgery, I regained my ability to walk, but I still cannot run or perform more strenuous cardiovascular activities due to that injury. Story 53. I was always skinny when I was a teenager. In my mid-20s, I wore braces to fix my teeth. For the first month or two, I had a kind of separator that prevented my upper and lower teeth from touching, so I could only consume liquid food and dropped to my lowest weight below 60 kilograms at 180 centimeters, 132 pounds at 5 feet 11 inches. Even after removing those separators, I did not gain much weight. As soon as I removed my braces, I rediscovered the pleasure of eating. Combined with a natural slowdown in metabolism, I reached 90 kilograms, 198 pounds, in just a couple of years. Now, I'm almost 40 years old and stable around 78 kilograms, 172 pounds. Story 54. Turned 30? Lift enough weights to get the beginner gains. Eat food that is nutrient-dense instead of empty calories that trick you into thinking you are full. Be active to maintain muscle mass. You do not need to be a gym enthusiast, but 10 years of just about any sport combined with normal aging will add another 15 kilograms. Story 55. Track calories and increase them to 4,000 to 5,000. Do this for 3 months and then reassess. Clean calories or dirty calories do not matter. You can worry about that later. Also, taking negative 667 Malawian kwaches, also known as ibutamorin, helps keep me hungry. Story 56. Long story with many contributing factors. I experienced gradual weight gain over the years. When I was younger, I was in the United States Army and extremely fit. I had a head injury and was partially paralyzed, spending months in the hospital. After the accident, I started biking a lot to stay in shape for a while. Eventually, after my children were 1 and 2 years old, I became a single father with sole custody. As a single father, I took a few years off from work to take care of my children. Since I had them with me all the time, I started gaining weight. I went from being able to do multiple day bike rides before having kids to not getting much exercise for several years. When my children were older, I started riding bikes long distance again, mostly single-day rides, but not nearly the distances I did 10 years earlier. I never really had a babysitter when my kids were little, so the only regular exercise I got was biking to work about 36 miles per day. I biked to work from the time my kids were in kindergarten until they were in high school. The single biggest change in behavior was when I started working from home after the COVID-19 lockdowns. I gained about 80 pounds in a few months. It took a while after the lockdowns ended, but I got a stationary bike to ride at home after work. I managed to lose 40 pounds as soon as I started riding again, but losing the next 40 pounds took time and effort. Now that my children are older and in college, I can ride long distance again and spend a lot of time training. I am at least back to the weight I had before the COVID-19 lockdowns. Weight gain is a matter of calories consumed versus calories spent. I eat several thousand calories per day and burn 2,000 to 3,000 calories during a 3-hour bike ride. If I skip 2 or 3 days of riding, I start gaining weight. Sometimes I do not have time to exercise because of work or family responsibilities. I could eat less, but I prefer to ride more and not worry too much about what I eat. Story 57. I got old. I was very thin in my 20s, but after my 30s, the metabolism slows down, apparently. Also, pregnancy with complications. I couldn't do anything during pregnancy and 6 months after. I gained 10 kilograms. Thank God my hormones balanced out after 2 years, and I'm back to my ideal weight. Story 58. Chronic illness has resulted in reduced movement and transitioning to a desk job. I used to work out for 2 hours a day, so the illness has made me very depressed. Story 59. Eat burgers. I eat 5 burgers a week from the supermarket. With heavy lifting every other day for a year, I have gained 20 pounds. The rest of my diet has stayed the same. It consists of chicken, pasta, and vegetables. Story 60. It was a combination of a few things. I generally filled out as I got older, with noticeable jumps around 25 and 35 years old. Relationship. I had dinner with my parents, then went to my girlfriend's house and had a second dinner there. Activity. I switched from a university and retail job, which involved a lot of walking and activity, to a desk job at 25 years old. Money. A better job meant I could spend more money on more and better food. Learn to cook. I got to make the food I like and eat as much as I wanted. Medication. I was on fluoxetine for about 6 months, which made me mildly nauseous. I managed this by eating more medication and moving country. I had a recurrent infection treated with 4 different antibiotics shortly after moving to the United Kingdom. I am convinced this completely changed my microbiome because I gained 10 kilograms over the following year, or I just spent more time in pubs drinking pints and eating pies. COVID-19. Sitting around the house for a year with nothing to do but cook tasty food and eat it led to gaining 10 kilograms, which disappeared again when things returned to normal. Overall, I have naturally gone from extremely skinny to a stable body weight at the top of the healthy body mass index category over 25 years. My wife still regularly complains that I am incredibly expensive to feed, and my friends always ask me to finish off any leftover food at parties. Story 61. Medication. I had drastic weight gain after starting new medications 5 years ago. I have never gained any more weight since then, even during pregnancy. However, I have also never been able to lose any weight despite strict and consistent exercise and dieting. Story 62. Looking back, I was quite skinny growing up. People made fun of me for being fat, so I figured if everyone wants to make fun of me for that, I will be. I hate false accusations. Kidding, I had anxiety. That, mixed with birth control, made me gain 80 pounds. In total, I have been on birth control for about 5 to 6 years. My asthma worsened, and I was dealing with chronic illness and big feelings. We are in good health currently. Let's see how long that lasts. Story 63. Initially, it was due to soda, McDonald's, and chips, a blue-collar diet. I cleaned that up, but then I discovered burritos and Mexican food. Now I cook at home and rarely eat out, but the food I make is incredibly good. So yes, now I love eating. Story 64. Not me, but my husband was underweight most of his life due to avoidant restrictive food intake disorder. His restrictions are tricky, but I have worked on increasing his weight by making sure there are always snacks at his desk, avoiding the choice panic by giving him a this or that, and always having a supply of safe meals in the house. He is maintaining a pretty healthy weight, fluctuating down a bit sometimes, but never dangerously so. I think the snacks were the biggest help. While he struggles to eat a whole meal, he happily grazes without thinking about it. Story 65. I was diagnosed with a gastroinflammatory disease that caused multiple lesions in my small intestine. My body could not absorb nutrients properly. After years of severe anemia and doctors accusing me of starving myself, someone finally checked for celiac disease. The antibody levels that should be under 10 in healthy people were over 200 in my case. The disease requires yearly upper endoscopies. When I had mine, the doctor, a professor at the medical school, took pictures of my intestines to show in class because they looked so bad. After starting a strict gluten-free diet, I gained almost 10 kilograms quickly. Honestly, I have never been happier. Story 66. In 2016, I weighed 50 kilograms at 1.81 meters. My breakthrough was when I started eating healthier and reduced my stress level from 10 to 2. Now in 2025, I weigh 75 kilograms, and the best part is I can maintain this weight. Many people might say that 75 kilograms at 1.81 meters is still skinny, but I feel much better now. Story 67. Sustained 2 long-term injuries within 2.5 years. Still recovering from the second injury, and many of my clothes no longer fit. Story 68. Worked out consistently with a focus on muscular control and light cardiovascular exercise. The goal was to build muscle and increase blood flow to support muscle growth. Regarding food, in addition to my regular diet, I added spaghetti and meatballs every day. It was high in carbohydrates and high in protein. It still took a long time to gain weight. This was about 20 years ago, and since then I have not been skinny, only muscular or slightly overweight. Story 69. Depression. My ex-husband decided to ask for a divorce suddenly. It turns out he was cheating with one of his former partners and married her 2 months after our divorce. Needless to say, I was not doing well and did not get out of bed much, so I ate a lot of delivered fast food. Story 70. I injured my back. I went from lifting weights and standing for more than 12 hours a day to being immobilized. However, it took some time before my eating habits adjusted to the reduced exercise routine. Story 71. I ate better quality food and stopped playing sports. I used to compete in college and coached afterward. When I quit coaching, I gained weight. Story 72. Genetics. It is just what happens for some people. They hit a certain age and their metabolism slows down significantly. I was in my mid-30s when it happened. I went from 85 kilograms at 31 to 125 kilograms at 35. It did not matter how much I was exercising, I was a basketball player, or what I did or did not eat. The weight just kept piling on. Last year, I reached 147.5 kilograms. Thankfully, medication has helped me get back down to 125 kilograms. I am hoping to reach 115 kilograms by the end of this year. The same metabolic change happened to my father in his mid-30s, the same with his father, and apparently my great-grandfather as well. Story 73. COVID-19 broke my exercise habits. A difficult relationship damaged my self-esteem and self-image. With those two gone, gaining weight was more due to indifference towards myself than an accident. I can and do lose weight when I want to, but the truth is I don't care enough to. I don't date, so how attractive I am to someone else is irrelevant. All my hobbies are sedentary or involve being on a vehicle, such as gaming and motorbikes. I usually only lose weight if I have a vacation or client meeting coming up, and then I let myself go immediately afterwards. Story 74. Less stress, eat well, and maintain a good relationship. You will start gaining weight soon. That is only if you do not have any health problems. Story 75. I was a swimmer. Took a few years, but when I quit, I severely changed my activity level but not my eating habits. Story 76. It seems like age mostly. I also started consuming close to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, which is sometimes surprisingly difficult. Combining that with more weight training and cycling, my legs at least gained the way I wanted to. However, a slightly less active winter has recently caused my belly to be a bit more than I'm used to. Most of my jeans were sized when my thighs and waist were skinnier, which is frustrating because they were not cheap. I have been cutting carbohydrates more often, not during rides as that is a bad idea, which seems to be helping mitigate it. I am still eating as much protein as possible while doing workouts and cycling 3 to 6 times a week. Story 77. Working out is the only way I have gained real pounds. Even when I work all day at a desk without much exercise and eat normally, I keep the same weight. I think it is because exercise causes me to burn more calories and my body finally starts letting me eat without fear of being too full or nauseous. Story 78. I stopped working multiple jobs in retail and started working a corporate office job. I moved out of my in-laws' home. I was very uncomfortable in my in-laws' home. There was minimal space and I was rarely comfortable cooking in their kitchen. Eating 1 meal a day was common for me, and I worked 2 part-time jobs. Despite the food situation, I was probably the most fit I have ever been during that time. My retail positions mainly involved lifting and loading furniture. My main regret is not working harder to go to the gym and eat better once we moved and I became a sedentary worker. Story 79. Aging, drinking a lot on the weekends, and not doing exercise. I caught it on time in my mid-20s and got back into shape by changing the other factors I mentioned to compensate for the aging part. Story 80. Gomet. If you are lifting weights and can handle it, you will gain weight easily. Many people think it is hard to gain muscle, but it is easier when you are gaining weight. Once you reach your desired weight and size, start cutting. It is easier to lose fat than to gain muscle. Story 81. Full-time employment. I did not gain the freshman 15 and stayed roughly the same weight for the first 2 years of part-time work. Once they promoted me to full-time employment, I gained about 20 pounds, and it shows. I'm not mad about it, though. I always wanted to be normal. Story 82. I did the math, how much I need to eat to maintain my weight and how much to grow, and actively tracked everything I ate for 3 months. Active tracking might seem insignificant, but if you have been skinny your whole life, you probably are not eating enough. I had to add a full meal, like a spaghetti dinner before bed, to consume enough calories to gain weight. Story 83. I was very skinny. I have hyperthyroidism, so it is automatically harder for me to gain weight. The only thing that worked for me was working out. I started when I was 17, training my upper body twice a week and my lower body once a week. I gained 15 pounds in a little over a month. I also increased my calorie and protein intake. I am turning 22 soon and have not lost any weight. Newcomer gains are easy to achieve. You do not have to overcomplicate it. Just be consistent. Story 84. Moved to a location where nothing was within walking distance and stopped working. I always ate a lot, but my metabolism and walking to work every day were enough to keep me skinny. The weight gain happened over November and December when I was wearing Christmas leggings and joggers. so I did not notice until the new year when I tried to put on jeans again. Story 85. I was put on corticosteroids for a suspected muscle issue. I gained 45 pounds in 2 months and changed nothing else. It was also the most stubborn 45 pounds and took me a long time to lose it. Story 86. A bottle of vodka and a 30-pack of beer almost every other day for a month. Obviously, eating poorly while intoxicated. Story 87. I started when my job kept me out of the house for 13 hours a day. It got worse when I added a child and a spouse with health issues. Instead of having time to exercise about 2 hours a week and maintain a good social life, I had no time for myself. My only way to treat myself was with food. Story 88. Surprisingly, I started running. I am 180 centimeters tall and used to weigh 58 kilograms. When I started running, I began eating a lot more and enough for myself. Right now, I weigh just below 70 kilograms. Story 89. It has become much harder to maintain the same diet as I got older. I started using glucagon-like peptide 1, though, and it has been a life changer. I no longer have those food cravings. However, I still feel hungry and am compelled to eat healthy food, but no more junk food. Story 90. I decided I would start having a scoop of ice cream every night right before bed. One day, I saw a picture of myself from a weekend out and could see from the angle of my shirt that my belly was sticking out. I stopped that habit immediately. That is the only time I have ever been overweight. Story 91. Naturally skinny guy, about 132 pounds if I do nothing like in January. Now I'm 165 pounds and planning to hit and maintain around 200 pounds by next January. The way I'm doing it is by eating the same thing every day with standard changes every month. Shooting for about 3,200 calories a day, 5 to 6 snacks or meals. Workout program mapped out precisely. The longer you go, the better you get at working the food you have planned into your day. Write out your meal plan and start piecing some days together. Have to go eat now. Story 92. Get a sedentary job. Develop a habit of snacking between meals. Rely on soda for hydration. Snack on high-calorie foods that do not satiate your hunger, such as chips and fried foods. Story 93. Lots of calories. It turns out that if I do not eat poorly, I naturally eat only about 1,500 calories comfortably in a day, which was not enough. Story 94. We moved closer to my grandparents. My dear grandmother thought I was too skinny, and I couldn't say no to her home cooking. She passed away 16 years ago, and I still haven't been able to lose the weight. Story 95. I got used to a high metabolism. I drank alcohol and ate what I wanted with no exercise and stayed skinny. I did not develop a workout routine even when I had plenty of time. In my late 20s, I gained 20 pounds. Exercise when you are young. Story 96. A virus attacked my inner ears and threw off my balance, causing me to be stationary almost all day. Story 97. I have gastroparesis, and I am a gainer because my only safe foods I do not throw up, are simple carbohydrates and sweets. Story 98. I found a job where the food was provided for free. I think my thinness was largely due to skipping meals entirely out of laziness. Story 99. Went to a university. The student union had a Panda Express, poke bowl spot, steak and shake, and other restaurants all in one building. After finishing 8 to 9 hours of studio classes, I was hungry for some takeout. Story 100. I was 110 pounds at 5 feet 7 inches. I ate 6 to 8 times a day along with weight training and gained up to 150 pounds in 1 year. After that, I cut to shed fat and retain some of the gained muscle. I was at 135 pounds for the summer. I repeated that same cycle year after year, and now I am 160 pounds in decent shape. Protein shakes helped me get my 6 meals in. Story 101. I'm still trying to understand which option is best. 1. Corporate job with days in the office and frequent flights around the world. Relocating to a jungle city with mosquitoes and hellish temperatures, which killed my outdoor habits. Engaging with an Eastern European girl. The most vegetarian thing she can conceive is chicken. Probably a combination of the three. Story 102. No idea, it just kind of happened my last year of college. Obviously, I was eating junk food all the time, as I always had been as a college student, but I walked everywhere and wasn't doing anything differently than I had been. I just suddenly and rapidly gained more than 30 pounds. Eventually, I chalked it up to getting older or something, as I never ended up losing the weight, but I always wondered if it was as simple as that. I was on levothyroxine for a while during my first pregnancy, but after my pregnancy, my thyroid levels seemed to normalize. My pregnancy was years after I had initially gained the weight anyway. No clue besides getting older or bad habits, even though I didn't expect that kind of consequence of aging until much closer to my 30s. Also, it is fair to note that once I gained the weight to a certain point, it more or less stopped or plateaued ever since. I am 32 now, so total weight gain would have been me going from maybe 130 to 140 pounds at 5 feet 6 inches female to about 180 pounds, which then capped right at 200 pounds at my heaviest during pregnancy. It usually settles somewhere between 180 and 190 pounds lately. Story 103, I moved more. I clear 15,000 to 25,000 steps on a normal day. I eat a lot after my workouts. I also smoke, which helps appetite, but it can also have the opposite effect of making me wait to eat because food tastes better when high. I would not recommend any drug or pill, usually only short-term or conditional changes. You also have to eat immediately after you wake up, even if only fruits. After you sleep, your body is in a starved state. This is an easy way to get an initial hefty amount of calories while your body begins burning them. Eating before bed did not help much. It just made me feel unwell more often. For reference, I went from 57 kilograms to 67 kilograms in about a year and a half while losing fat and gaining muscle. I trained 3 to 5 times a week, focusing on heavy compound exercises and calisthenics. I prioritize protein. When I order chicken, rice, and vegetables, I finish the chicken first, then the vegetables. If I cannot finish the rice, so be it. Also, do not try to eat a big meal over the course of an hour. It is best to split it in half and then take 15 minutes to eat each half. I feel more full if I make a meal out of my meals. Story 104. Antidepressants slowed down my metabolism. I gained a little too much weight and then spent the last year losing 20 pounds. Now I am at a happy medium. Story 105. Being in an abusive relationship and binge eating to cope. Went from a size 2/4 to 12. Now I am a 6/8. Losing weight did not take as long as I thought, but I doubt I will ever be what I originally was. Story 106. By gradually letting go of all the food-related rules I had set for myself, it truly becomes a slippery slope. Story 107. I broke my ankle 4 years ago and can barely walk a mile. I just started physical therapy, so things are looking up and I am excited to get back to normal activity. Story 108. Got disabled. A good day meant I walked to the mailbox without the cane, instead of a 22-minute 3-mile walk. Caught up. Story 109. Morning exercise triggers the appetite, so you should start the day with a meal. Eating 3 meals a day will help you reach an average weight eventually. Story 110. Worked in fast food. I didn't gain a lot of weight, but I gained about 30 pounds in 14 years. Free food, whatever food I wanted, and however much I wanted. Story 111. Started weight lifting and counting calories. I always thought my fast metabolism was the reason I stayed lean. It turns out I barely ate 1,800 calories a day when my target was closer to 2,500 for where I wanted to be. Eating more felt sickening at first, but little by little, I was able to increase my calorie intake. I now eat 2,500 calories a day after a few years of weightlifting and bulking. I can't imagine how I survived before. Story 112. I quit my job and moved home. When I was employed, I did not eat my first meal until I got home at 8 p.m. Eating once a day while working a physical job kept me thin. Being in the safe home of my family with home-cooked meals every day caused me to gain 20 pounds in 3 months. Story 113. I struggled to gain weight for a while but changed a few things and gained 9 kilograms in the last 6 months. Here are some things that helped me. A big approximately 800-calorie smoothie in the morning, 125 grams oats, 50 grams peanut butter, plus water or milk and whatever you like for taste or health. for example 100 grams frozen berries, was a great start. Besides that, surprisingly, the gym motivated me to eat more to gain muscle. Just eating more without working out seemed like unnecessary fat gain. Eating something late at night. I often fell asleep hungry because I was too lazy, but I tried to eat something before going to sleep to avoid going to bed on an empty stomach. Have snacks available on you. I am a student, so I try to always have snacks like a chocolate bar in my backpack. Buying an air fryer made it very easy to prepare food. I feel like skinny people often don't have the motivation to make something to eat, so if it's super easy to just put a chicken burger in the air fryer for 5 minutes, that helps a lot. Also, don't get hung up on eating too healthy. Healthy eating is promoted to aid fat loss. Story 114. I stopped swimming, started eating more carbohydrates, and got older. I was dangerously underweight for most of my childhood. In high school, I would eat a whole rotisserie chicken or roast duck as a snack after water polo practice. I would eat a lot and never gain weight no matter how much I ate. I never ate many carbohydrates, though. I wasn't low enough to be in ketosis or anything. I just didn't eat much compared to other foods. In college, I met a girl who really liked high carbohydrate foods like pastries, pasta, and breads. I started eating more and more. I stopped swimming laps or playing sports. I gained around 30 to 40 pounds by senior year. I still wasn't overweight. I am pretty tall but was on the upper end of the healthy body mass index. Now I struggle with the opposite. I'm still not overweight, but I have gained excess weight a couple of times in the 2 decades since graduation. I'm holding just above a healthy body mass index these days. Story 115. My parents packed my lunch throughout my entire childhood except for a few times. When I got to college, there was a McDonald's right across from campus. I had a 2-cheeseburger meal almost every single day. Story 116. I moved away for college and away from my parents and finally started gaining weight. It was partly unhealthy eating, partly stress, and partly shedding the parental anxiety. It was still better than the extreme skinniness I had during high school. Story 117. I am 43 years old. As I have gotten older, my metabolism has slowed down. I can lose weight, however, I can gain it just as quickly. Story 118. Middle age. I have always eaten a lot of junk food, but until my mid-30s, I was always skinny. Then I developed a beer belly. After a few years, I decided to exercise regularly, and now I am back to being skinny while still eating junk food. Story 119. Went to the gym. Suddenly, my appetite grew tremendously, and the muscle I gained took me from skinny to toned and filled out. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.